What's up YouTube, DFieldLucky here. I'll bring you a little bit of a new thing for the channel and something I think I'm going to continue going on forward. I kind of was thinking about this a couple days ago and I finally decided to go through with recording this today. And it's my personal reading recommendations for comic books in 2016 going into 2017. And I read a lot of different comics. I mean, this is my personal opinion, let's leave it at that. And I don't have too much variety into what I read, but I read a lot of the specific stuff that I read. I'm really into superheroes, and that's kind of what I'm mainly into, so I don't read a lot of things like, per se, like The Walking Dead or anything like different. And I know that might upset some people. I don't really read smaller comic books, but that's just my personal choice. I would like to, and I do enjoy, like, I don't know if you can see, but I've got all like the big Walking Dead graphic novels and stuff. Like, I enjoy those books, but currently right now, I'm not actually picking up like the Walking Dead comic. Or I'm trying to think of some of the smaller books that are probably a little bit more popular now, but I can't think of them because I don't read them personally. So just a forewarning if you're kind of into that stuff, but if you're into like superheroes, if you're into Marvel and DC and things like that, or even like Ninja Turtles and stuff, like, I actually don't read Ninja Turtles. That is one that I am going to start picking up soon though. But things like that is mainly what I read. So if that's what you're into and you want some recommendations what to start reading maybe for fall 2016, going into the winter and into next year, stay tuned for this and let's kind of go jump on into this. So I'm going to start off with some of the smaller sections that I read, which is the smallest thing that I read, two smaller things. I only read one book from Marvel currently. I read two books from Marvel, that's not true. I'm reading Civil War 2 right now. And it's okay. It's okay. If you want to read Marvel's big event, you can read it. It's fine. Civil War 2 is okay. It's not the original Civil War. It's not anything stand out like that. Like, it's not as epic and crazy, but it's okay. It's not bad. It's okay to read. Nothing special. But the one book I do read from Marvel is The Amazing Spider-Man, and this is one I've read for, man, I've read this since probably. I mean, this is issue, well, this one's issue 15 that I have. It's with Mary Jane in the Iron Spider suit. But they rebooted this not too long ago. But if you wanted to start reading this, they are starting a new arc. I just got the comic book this past Wednesday, I believe, for Amazing Spider-Man that they're starting. It's Dead No More. So you could jump in and go get that right now if you want to start reading it. That's how I read it. Started reading The Amazing Spider-Man when they were in the higher numbers before Marvel reset the numbers once again. Like all the two major comic book companies seem to do. But yeah, I jumped in like once they started a new arc and I started reading. I got some back issues too. You could do that. I'm almost positive that you might be able to find 1 through 15 of Amazing Spider-Man. I'm really enjoying it. Dan Slott, great writer. I've loved his work on Spider-Man so far. I haven't been really disappointed. I know there was a huge controversy with Superior Spider-Man not so long ago. Oh man, it might have been 2 years ago at this point as far as I'm thinking, not so long ago. But I really enjoyed that too. That actually turned into one of my favorite comic book series. So if you really are interested in Marvel and Spider-Man, Spider-Man especially, that's my recommendation. Pick up The Amazing Spider-Man, it's great. Definitely recommend that for sure. And I'm sure if someone wants to leave down in the comments other Marvel books, I know there's a few good ones, I just haven't really picked them up or been into it. But yeah, that's my only Marvel book for my recommendation. But moving on from Marvel is to a smaller studio, or smaller comic book thing, and it's Boom Studios, is the Power Rangers comic. I've really been enjoying this. This is the annual. I thought it was a cool cover. I'm going to have some B-roll with this too, kind of go over. I'm going to show off. I've got a bunch of the variant covers of the Zero issue of this with them, and they're holding their helmets, and it's really cool art. You're probably not going to be able to find those anymore, but I'm sure you'll be able to find Zero through probably whatever up to. It's probably, I think they're on 6 plus the annual issue, or 5 or 6 plus the annual issue right now. So there's about 7 issues, less than 10 issues out right now, so you can find it. It's a monthly series. That's the previously Spider-Man's a bi-weekly series, just like the rest of these. Most of these I'm going to go over are bi-weekly now, but this is a monthly series, so you pick it up. I was a huge Power Rangers fan when I was young guy. Like this is like the one thing since I was very little, since I was probably like 3-4 years old, I was into Power Rangers. It came out, that's when it was coming out in the United States, and I really got into it. So when this was announced, I saw this, super excited. I'm really glad Power Rangers is making a comeback. I'm really excited for the movie. If you're into the Power Rangers, you're kind of interested in something like that, this is a great one to pick up. It's easy to read. Really good story. It focuses mainly on the Green Ranger, kind of revolves around Tommy and his story. There is a Pink Ranger Power Rangers book too. I do have that. I forgot to grab that, but I haven't read too much of it, so I don't want to recommend it without saying this. If you're interested in maybe a Pink Ranger oriented story, there is that too. But this is mainly Power Rangers, mainly focuses around Tommy and kind of some of his dilemma. It's kind of very shortly after. It's set very shortly after he joins the team as the Green Ranger after he breaks free from Rita's control. So it's really cool. So read that. That definitely recommendation for me from that one is definitely pick up Power Rangers. If you like Power Rangers, I love it. It's great. Now moving on to basically the bulk of my reading. I'm a huge DC Comics fanboy. You can say it as you want. Like I said, this is my opinion, what I recommend reading, but I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people say DC Rebirth is amazing, and that's where I'm recommending a lot of my things coming from and what I read. Now, obviously, they've reprinted this a few times. This is the DC Rebirth issue to kind of jump everybody into it, what DC's doing with everything. And it's really going to be really easy to jump into Rebirth. There are only a few issues in on everything, and there's even new issues coming out. Like I just picked up Cyborg this week, his #1 issue, very first one. Easy, going to be easy to find all these. So this you want to jump in and kind of get a feel for what's going on. This is the main issue to get. It's a huge issue. It's only $2.99, and it's a big issue, and that's the one big thing about Rebirth. All the issues are $2.99. They're all cheaper. That's great. I don't want to try to oversell this, but this was a great book. But this is a recommend DC Rebirth 100%. But I'm going to kind of go over the issues of ones that I have been personally enjoying. I've been trying every one of them, and personally I'm getting a lot of them, but I'm not getting all of them. Now, obviously, the two of the staples, the ones that they started renumbering again, Action and Detective Comics. They went back to the original numbering for these, but it picks up with a new storyline, new arc. This one is this, and just to kind of go over a brief summary, Detective is basically Batman is putting together a team with Batwoman to help fight crime. I forget what the whole point, but they put together a younger team, and you've got Tim Drake Robin, or Red Robin, I guess you should say, Clayface, which is really interesting. Spoiler. And what's the other girl? I can't think of. They're relatively newer heroes, and Batwoman's leading the team, and obviously Batman's at the head of it. Really interesting story. The first arc just finished up. There's only a few issues. It's not over yet. It's getting ready to wrap up though, and it really, really good. Definitely recommend this, and I love that they're going back to the original number. And Detective Comics, great. Now, Action. A lot of people don't know, if you're getting into comics for the first time, you haven't read for a while. Action is a little different. This is well, I mean, I guess it depends how long you've been reading comics too. This is technically the original Superman. It's kind of confusing, but it's easy to pick up on. But basically, they brought back. They had this DC in 2011 had this whole reboot. They called it the New 52, and they brought back all the heroes. There's a rebirth, and it kind of like only 5 years in or so. Like they only had 5 years experience. They kind of brought all the history till only about a 5-year gap, and they kind of erased everything before. Well, Rebirth is reinstating that, so that's kind of the thing, is a reinstating all this. But with that, they're bringing back Superman, the original Superman that was technically erased with the New 52, and bringing back all of his history. So now he's back. In the New 52, Superman wasn't married to Lois Lane. He wasn't even dating Lois Lane. That wasn't anything. But this one, married to Lois Lane, has a child with Lois Lane, who is going to be the new Superboy. But very good, and the first arc is about Doomsday. And if you don't know who Doomsday is, it was the Death of Superman comic in the early 90s. Basically, the one person to ever kill Superman. Great arc. They're definitely enjoying it. You should check that out. I recommend that one. Highly, highly, highly recommend this one. Now, I'm gonna go a little faster into these. I'm not gonna go into too much into detail about some things, but for the Rebirth titles, kind of quick. Obviously, you got basically your staples. So I recommend all these. They're all great. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Obviously, the Batman is great. I can't even remember what. They're all great stories. Superman, great. Superman is more focusing on, like I said, with his son and Lois. That is what Superman's more focusing on, is like that. Batman is I can't remember. Wow, I'm trying to think of. I've been reading so many different stories. Wonder Woman is actually jumping back and forth in between her. They're giving her like kind of an origin issues. So they're going like they're bi-weekly. So every month you're getting the continuing story. You've got like a current continuum with Cheetah, and then they're going back to her origin with like on Themyscira with the island and Steve Trevor and everything like that. They're going back to that. So this one's actually, I didn't like New 52 Wonder Woman comics. Really am liking Rebirth Wonder Woman. I'm really, really happy with it. So that's something like that. That's really cool. And Batman, man, I cannot, for the life of me right now, remember what is going on in Batman. And I've been, and this is sounds so bad, but it's just so much Batman you're reading. Okay, Batman is basically going around a lot with his new Robin, which they don't have a name for him yet. It's a lot of cool stuff, but it's very interesting. There's a new there was a whole thing with Robins, and he's got like a new quote unquote Robin, but it's not Robin. They're kind of training a new guy. It's pretty interesting. It's definitely enjoyable. I actually do like Kane, the guy who's writing it, and Snyder kind of helped bring that in there too. And now kind of some of the three more, kind of go over this quick to kind of round out the Justice League really well. There's one more Justice League member that's later on too, but obviously Flash. Flash is really, really good. It's a lot of people got infected with the Speed Force, and they're kind of he's training like almost an army of Speed Force helpers, and he's getting a lot of almost sidekicks. Wally West comes back in this issue. Talks to him in that's really cool. So that one's really interesting. Green Lanterns. This one I wasn't sure how I'd feel about, but this one based around the Green Lanterns of Earth currently that are patrolling Earth and part of the Justice League. Jessica Cruz, who is the newest Earth Green Lantern, the first. I don't know if it's like the first official female Green Lantern from Earth. There technically was, I believe, Jade, who was Kyle Rayner's girlfriend too. Not sure, but she's like the first official inducted in the Corps. And Simon Baz, who is the second newest Green Lantern, he's actually Middle Eastern, was accused of a terrorist attack. This was in the New 52, and actually I actually really like him as a character. I've really enjoyed what he's turned into. And definitely very interesting. He actually carries a gun with him too, which is an interesting dynamic they're doing. This is definitely recommended. This is actually, they're actually battling the Red Lanterns right now. That is the kind of the arc of Red Lanterns of Anna. Atrocitus is back with the Red Lanterns. If you don't know anything about Green Lantern, check out, if you want to know about like Atrocitus and stuff like that, read The Blackest Night, the Green Lantern story. I have them all. They come in collected. They're graphic novels. I have all of them up there. There's ones leading up to like the War of Light and the Sinestro Corps War. There's a bunch of different stuff, but that's if you want to know more about Green Lanterns, if you want to get into that, that's what got me into comics. I like comic book characters, but really got me into reading comics was The Blackest Night. I dedicated, they have read comics since then. Definitely a recommendation, but yeah, that's kind of going over that. And finally, from those three, Aquaman. This one is really good. It's a very you get to see two sides of Aquaman. You get to see Aquaman kind of trying to be an ambassador, and obviously you get to see Aquaman being a badass. He's trying to, it's basically revolved around, he's trying to make relations with the rest of the world, and mainly America and Atlantis, kind of making them like one of the nations, part of the United Nations kind of thing, and obviously it all goes wrong. Things get crazy. Definitely very interesting. Check that out. It's a little bit of a different book. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. Aquaman isn't that, kind of lame character that everybody jokes about him. He's actually a badass. He's probably one of the most badass characters in comics. Now finally, kind of to round out the Justice League characters is Justice League Rebirth. I mean, obviously, what more do I have to say? It's the Justice League book. The Justice League book is always good. This is awesome. They're trying to stop some crazy world-ending event. It's getting really wild, and this is kind of about acclimating the new Green Lantern to the team and Superman, because all the other characters are technically the new 52 versions, and this is a different Superman than they've known that is now gone. So it's kind of a little bit of interest, that little bit of dynamic, but there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. This is obviously big epic events. Justice League, less of a personal story, more of crazy big events, a bunch of stuff going on at once. Definitely, if you like that, Justice League's always a good book to check out. Now kind of moving on to some of the mainstays of the DC Universe still. Have my personal favorite character, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. Basically, this is about Hal Jordan finding the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern Corps has disappeared, and for a long time he's trying to find out what happened to them. They're coming back, and then Sinestro has actually started patrolling the universe, taking over with his Sinestro Corps at the Green Lantern's job. So he has to fight them off and find the rest of the Green Lanterns, the rest of the Green Lanterns of Earth, all at the same time. Really, really good book. Definitely recommend checking this out. I'm loving this so far. My favorite character. I'm always going to recommend it. And kind of, now we're going to get into, obviously, Green Arrow. Green Arrow is good too. I kind of want to go over these real quick. I don't want this to go on too long, but Green Arrow is also a really good book. A lot of interest. They're actually acclimated. If you watch Arrow, they're actually acclimated a lot of some characters from the TV series that have never been in the comics into this. Really cool. Definitely recommend check out. Bringing back Black Canary and Green Arrow relationship. That's really cool. Really enjoying that. Now, this one is this. If you're really into Rebirth, kind of want to know the whole overarching purpose, this is the one you need to check out. It's Titans. Titans, basically, Wally West is leading the original Teen Titans, so with Nightwing, Dick Grayson, Donna Troy, Arsenal, Roy Harper, and Aqualad, technically, I can't think of his actual name though. And another girl who I'm actually not too familiar with, but definitely this is kind of like revolving around the mainstay of like the big overarching story of the Rebirth issues. This is definitely one, if you're really interested in kind of that, this is like one of the, in the center of all of that. It's definitely, and it's good. I love Wally West as his character, and that's really good if you like that. And also Nightwing. And speaking of Nightwing, Nightwing Rebirth. Never really enjoyed the New 52 version. Definitely really cool, because they went from the New 52 Nightwing to Grayson was his comic, and then into this, now where he was dead and he was a spy, and now he's kind of also still a kind of a spy, but he's Nightwing again, and he's infiltrating like an evil organization, the Court of, well, that's not the Court of Owls, it's, I forget what the whole name of it, but basically the same thing. And really interesting thing, kind of walking that line. Does he want to follow in Batman's step, or does he be his own person? Kind of definitely a more personal story with him. Definitely enjoying it. And finally, this is the final character of the Justice League, Cyborg. This one just came out, so this is the first issue. This is the only one that is out so far. If you want something, this is easy to find. Definitely recommend it. And kind of this one just like kind of the origin, kind of going over his origin and kind of the story he's in or about. This is going to be more of a personal story too, it seems like. So this, definitely recommend checking this one out as well. So this is the newest one on here. Easiest to find. That's kind of why I put it towards the end. And it's because it's newer too. So definitely recommend it. More of a personal story. If you really want to know, interested in Cyborg and stuff like that, and especially if you're into DC movie universe and stuff, Cyborg and part of the Justice League, definitely worth checking out. And finally, one of the ones that really surprised me, New Superman. Now, if you want to say, what the hell is New Superman? Well, New Superman is a Chinese Superman. Yeah, it kind of sounds weird, kind of like it's like a Chinese knockoff, but it's very interesting. It is China is making their own superheroes. Kind of crazy. Wasn't expecting to think of it, but definitely I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. Definitely recommend checking this out. Definitely a different kind of outside of the box story. With the different Superman, and there's also a different Batman and a different one Chinese Batman, Chinese Wonder Woman. Really interesting. Definitely recommend checking this one out. A little bit of an offshoot of story, kind of really different. Really curious where they're going to go with this one. This one was very cool. So definitely recommend checking this out. If you want something that's not the main DC hero kind of thing involved, this is completely different. And finally, I don't have it. I mean, another one too that I haven't read the second issue of, but Superwoman is another one that definitely check out. But I know this basically turned into like a DC Rebirth like love story with me, but I like I said, I'm a huge DC fanboy, but I've honestly been personally really enjoying Rebirth more than I ever enjoyed the New 52 and any of the comics there. Like I did have a few favorites from New 52 that obviously just, you know, I enjoyed, but not like I've enjoyed these. There's definitely, if you are into superheroes, if you want to get into comic books, if you like the movies, I know Marvel's more popular than DC right now, but definitely, I think personally, DC is definitely beating Marvel in the comic book department. As of right now, they always go back and forth, but if they can really orchestrate the movies like they're going with these comics, and which I do believe, because Jeff Johns, kind of the head of all these comics and stuff, is doing it, I believe they can go in a really good part. But I kind of just want to go over some of my personal favorites, kind of like reading recommendations for fall 2016, going into 2017. These are all these kind of going into, and kind of just share that. I thought it'd be kind of cool to bring comic books, and maybe I'll do some reviews. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if you have any other recommendations, maybe some other books that I should check out down below. Maybe I'll do some videos on those, read them, and pick them up. I mean, I go to the comic book store every week, so it's easy for me to get stuff. And I don't know, just let me know what you think about kind of bringing comic books, and maybe I'll go more in depth to some of these, or kind of really review issues week to week. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with it, but maybe if I find issues that I like and I say, okay, definitely check this out, I'll do like a little video about it. I don't know, I'll think about it. Let me know down below. Let me know with a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, dislike it if you don't kind of think this is stupid, if this was completely pointless, you just wasted, 18 minutes of your time. Who knows, whatever. But either way, I'm getting out of here. Before I do, remember, stay lucky.